So today we discuss about import quota. Now in order to discuss import quota, let me remind you that import quota actually belongs to a topic of international trade. In the topic of international trade, we have already covered the topic of protectionism, and today's topic is the one of the component of trade protectionism. Earlier in our lectures, we have focused upon different types of trade protectionism that covered tariff, that covered voluntary export restraints, export subsidies, and different other methods. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about import quota. So let us discuss first the definition of quota. A quota is a physical limit on imported goods. It is different from the tariff, as tariffs were the tax on imported goods that generate the revenue for the government, but in quota it is only limits the supply of imported goods. Let us discuss the graph of import quota. We start with the illustration of a graph of import quota. So illustration of quota or import quota. First, we draw axis, y-axis and x-axis. Let us discuss the name of the product or the market. Consider this market is Pakistan or Pakistan economy. We have the supply, we have the demand. Equilibrium has established at this point, and we are considering the case of a closed economy. Now, if a country moves to international trade and if it allows other countries to export their goods into Pakistan, so what would happen? We witness the world supply, and in the world supply we may mark out the area of import. This is this area. So we mark out this area as imported quantity of particular product. You may be aware that from here to here, this is the supply of the product by the domestic suppliers. Now, we have imported quantity, and if the government apply quota, so it is the restriction on the supply of imported goods. So we mark out an area, say this area. So from here till here, this is known as quota. Now after applying of quota, the imported goods quantity has reduced to Q1 till Q2. earlier this quantity was from Q1 to Q4, and by applying quota this quantity has reduced from Q1 till Q2. Now, another aspect of this concept that still the household or the consumers, that is the domestic consumer, are demanding the product. So, when the government applies quota, so it creates a shortage from Q2 to Q4. Now, in order to fill the gap, the local suppliers will come into action and try to supply the product. But how they going to supply, we see through the supply curve. So this is the supply line of the domestic suppliers. So now this area belongs to the domestic suppliers, and this area that I am reshading or doubling the supply curve, this area shows the domestic firm's supplier. Now shortage creates a price rise and new equilibrium has been established at this point. So we mark out the equilibrium till here, and the price also raises from P1 to P2. Another concept that due to this price rise, the demand of the consumers has decreased from area Q4 to area Q3. Moreover, if you look in the diagram, this area shows the reduction from consumers and the gain to producers. So I am highlighting this area. So this area, the yellow shaded area earlier belongs to consumers. Now from consumers it has been transferred to foreign companies. Now the next part, that who would gain in this action. Now we see what is the gain of the local producers. So I am marking the area. So this area shaded by this color indigo represents gain of producers, and earlier this area belongs to consumers. If I shade some more area, so you could see the new consumer surplus, this area, this area, this area. So this area is the new consumer surplus, or after the application of quota. So I mark new consumer surplus. Let us now see that is there any area that shows dead weight loss. So if you watch carefully, so we got this area, This area earlier was the part of consumers. Now this becomes the deadweight loss. I must recall the definition of deadweight loss: decline in net community surplus, and something which has been dropped down by one economic agent but not gained by another economic agent. So this is the idea of quota. Now the different part of quota with the tariff, that in tariff the government usually earn the revenue, but in quota this is not the case. So this is the basic idea of quota. Hope you got all the concept. Thanks.